The last evaluation 2 years ago, we were able to settle on a reasonable amount for our home, which was $400,000, and now they're proposing that our home is worth nearly $600,000. So that's, quite literally 50% more of the value of our home, which would nearly double our municipal taxes.
That is Jeremy Dias. Last month, he, like many Winnipeggers, got his proposed property value assessment in the mail. And the number that he saw was $593,000. That is $193,000 more than the City of Winnipeg's last assessment in 2024.
It was just so outrageous. It was just so ridiculous. And I'm dying to know why the city had this valuation. What are you thinking that my house is like? What do you know that I don't know? I also feel that if they're proposing a high valuation, there should be an explanation behind that, beyond just property values have gone up.
The thing is, Jeremy is not alone. We've been hearing from people all across the city of Winnipeg who say they also were shocked to see their proposed property assessment values for the 2027 tax year jump, sometimes by tens of thousands of dollars. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Today on This is Manitoba, we're going to take a closer look at the city's proposed property values. What goes into the calculation and why some Winnipeggers say it has them worried about what it could mean for their taxes in the years ahead. Certain areas have seen their property assessments increase more than others. So the city says it will not know the citywide average assessment increase until early next year. But it has published a map showing us the median increase for different neighborhoods. So let's look at some examples. Tuxedo River Heights is on the low end with a 6% increase. Charleswood, where Jeremy lives, has the second highest median increase at 15%. And you heard it right, second highest. So let's go over to NK and EK. In North and East Kildonan, there's the highest, a median of 18%. My colleague, Jim Agapito, spoke to some Kildonan residents who say the latest numbers have left them confused.
It's Andrew Hretze. I'm a resident here in East Kildonan. Last year, my property assessment was $323,000 on an 1,100 square foot bungalow. It's basically the average for this area. This year, the city sent in the reassessment for $385,000. Okay? Now, if we wanted to, debate this, it's what the market value is, what the city assessed, okay? And there's the difference, because some of the homes go for another $15,000 than what is assessed today, this year's. It's a stable place. The homes are good, they're solid, and for young families, if homes are up for sale, Jim, they don't last long. They're gone in the 2 weeks. They're snapped right up. The schools are here, the infrastructure is here. So I guess the city figures the value for, this part of the city is good.
What does that increase then mean to you as a homeowner?
Well, it means that for the last 3 years, the city hasn't been truthful. And every homeowner will tell you, now we have hydro, the gas went up, the water went up, okay? So someone in the finance department, Mr. Jeff Bravati or whatever, sit down and say, how much on the ledger a homeowner can take for increases? I mean, we must be the most, the most that's getting inflation thrown at us. Right here, the homeowner. And from the city, I never see in that budget that they're saving money.
It's Peter Luckfield.
I'm curious, you said that you did receive your assessment, so I'm wondering,
Yes, I did.
How much did it go up?
I'd say maybe 15, 20,000, something like that, somewhere around there. My impression would be that maybe we've been undervalued, and now it's like an adjustment to bring everything where it should be. I'd love to hear their reasoning for why they decided that. It was because we've been, East Kelowna and North Kelowna's been lower than it should have been, that all of a sudden it's higher. It's more about what they do with the money rather than how much they charge you. Like, I mean, nothing's free and everything's escalating, everything is more expensive, your groceries, everything is more and more expensive. So it's makes sense that of course your taxes are going to go up. But like for me, it's not just the amount of the tax, it's what are they doing with the money.
So, did the city botch its valuations in previous years? The mayor has said that the City of Winnipeg has the lowest municipal property tax out of any major city in Canada. Jeff Brawadi is city councillor for North Kildonan and the chair of the city's finance committee. I spoke to him to hear how he's responding to his constituents' concerns. He says it's not based on the city undervaluing properties, but on market conditions.
Home values in places like North Kildonan and Sun Valley and McLeod Avenue, McCay, in the last 2 years, the actual sale prices have literally increased that much. You don't have to take my word for it. If anybody wants to go and see what sales have been taking place, you can go to winnipeg.ca/residential preview program. winnipeg.ca/residential preview program. You go to that link, and there's a place where you can go see all the sales that have happened. It breaks the North Kildonan, East Kildonan, Elmwood area into smaller pieces, and you can actually go see residential sales that they are using to base your values.
So does that mean if we look at River Heights that we wouldn't find the same kind of increases in residential sales? Because River Heights, for example, went up by 6% if we compared the same period?
That's correct. So if you look in that, specifically in that 2-year window between 2023 assessed values and 2025 assessed values, yeah, that is accurate.
So help homeowners understand what an increase in an assessed value means when it comes time to pay their taxes.
Now, what the City of Winnipeg does to determine the taxes you pay, you apply a mill rate to the entire assessment roll. So, like, let's say, I'm making up a hypothetical value here, but let's say the entire assessment roll was $2 billion. If it's gone up after we've finished doing both the residential and the commercial, industrial, multifamily properties, the new value of the entire roll is $2.2 billion. The mill rate would be adjusted down so that a 0% property tax increase would be neutral. Then again, it's up to City Council to continue to pay for escalations on everything from snow clearing to building roads to fire protection services, wages, and then we add what we have done most years recently is added 3.5% to take on some of the huge increases we've had. So if you go up the average amount, like across all property classes, and we haven't completed yet the assessment values on commercial properties, industrial properties, and even large multifamily properties. Once that's done, we'll have a final number later this year, and we'll know a citywide average, and that'll give you a better idea. If you're above the average, you're probably paying a little bit more. If you're below the average, like my in-laws' condo in Transcona went up only a handful of thousands of dollars. I think it's $3,000 more. So they're going to be below the percentage average. So their taxes conceivably in 2027 could go down.
So to be clear, though, just so people understand this, when you do get your assessed property value like this, first, you can appeal it if you think that there's something wrong with the number. Second, though, if you accept it, you are paying more tax based on that number, correct?
Not automatically. Again, like, for example, my in-laws' condominium, it's gone up, but only a handful of percentage points. It's based on the average increase. If you feel there's a reason why your property is inferior, there's a legitimate reason, like your foundation is really old. Those other houses all have brand new kitchens and bathrooms, and you have your 40-year-old pink appliances in your bathroom, for example. In those cases, like, you have an opportunity right now. You can go to winnipeg.ca/discuss my assessment. Discuss my assessment. You can go in and request a 15-minute time window to speak to an assessor for free right now. And my recommendation would be to do a little homework before you do that.
I want to know, just because people mentioned this, a few people asked, what is the city doing to tighten its own belt and rein in spending? What's your answer to that? Some people were challenging, saying, I'm paying more, but what is the city doing?
Again, I mean, there are things that we're doing all the time. We're trying to get the lowest possible costs on snow clearing contracts, for example. We're trying to, again, slightly less popular, but in downtown, we were finding like so few parking transactions, for example, were being done at the meters. I appreciate, a lot of seniors now have challenges, using an app or using scratch tickets. But we were spending, many millions of dollars for new parking pay stations when almost nobody is using those to pay anymore. People are using the pay by phone app. We are trying to find creative ways to use AI within our operations. Things that first rounds of processing bill payments, for example, are being done with less people because we're able to use artificial intelligence to scan certain things. So we are always looking at ways to improve the city processes.
So Winnipeggers have until April 10th to schedule one of those calls with the city staff to voice concerns about assessments. In fact, Jeremy in Charleswood, though, has been through this process before. Not once, but twice. In 2024, he settled with the city over the phone. He brought their proposed assessment at the time from $500,000 down to $400,000. But in another case, he had to escalate the appeal process and file an application with the Board of Revision.
Oh my gosh, it easily took me 40 to 50 hours. So like a good work week of time. But like more than that, I was really disappointed with the mayor's statement on this issue. For him to say that an increase in our property values does not necessarily increase in our taxes is really erodes trust in government and is rather deceptive, frankly.
As Councillor Brawadi points out, the calculation that determines how much a property assessment will affect taxation can be complex. CBC's Corey Funk spoke to Tim Austin for a clearer sense of the process. He's the Director of Assessment and Taxation for the City of Winnipeg.
Assessed value is an estimation of what a home would sell for on the open market between a willing buyer and a willing seller if it were to take place on a certain reference date. And the provincial legislation tells us that we have to look at April 1st, 2025 as kind of the line in the sand. The City of Winnipeg and our department has access to information on homes that have sold in different neighborhoods throughout the City of Winnipeg. We analyze those sales. We really look at them. We look at market trends of what we're seeing when we're investigating the sales, and adjustments are made to estimate what, say, a home sale in June of 2024 might have sold for on April 1st, 2025. That information is used to help us arrive at values for the rest of the residential properties that haven't sold. Again, looking at things, we make adjustments based on characteristic data, and some of that data is based on size. Not every house is 1,000 square feet or 1,100 square feet, so we do adjustments for size, age of the property or the building. We look at location, building quality, basement finish, and those sorts of things will, normally add value or change the value a little bit from those houses that sold.
When someone kind of gets that proposed, that piece of paper, and they look at it, and how often is it there's someone that actually has taken time individually to look at their house, or can they assume it's kind of based on more of like a general market a trend? How much work does the city put into like really dig down into each individual house?
Yeah, a lot of when we have to revalue all the properties in the city of Winnipeg, it's through the analysis of sales. We do talk to a lot of property owners, especially through the preview program, and outside of that program, we get a lot of information through those conversations, as well as sometimes through the appeal process. We don't go out during every reassessment and look at every property. We won't be able to do that. The city of Winnipeg has over 240,000 properties in it. We would never be able to do that in a 2-year period.
And so you said there's the option of setting up a phone appointment. Is that where people can learn like the kind of exact factors that went into determining the price of the proposed price of their property?
Yeah, a few things. There's a lot of information, Corey, that we post online that we make available to property owners. If they can certainly call us, and we're happy to talk to them. Right, we're happy to hear their thoughts. We also have a secure website and people would have a user ID on their preview note or preview letter, assessment letter, called My Properties. They can sign in, property owners can sign in and see specific information about their property in more detail. For example, they can see their property attributes and things that we have listed, such as square footage, number of rooms, bathrooms, basement finish. I would recommend property owners taking a look at that. Maybe they've done something to the house that we're unaware of, and we have one of these attributes maybe incorrect. We can change that attribute, which may impact your value. That helps ensure that our records match what the property has. But additionally, you're right, they can give us a call. It's a 15-minute appointment, but a lot can be discussed in 15 minutes with our valuation staff to review the property, ask questions about and their concern to address their concerns. And this program runs until April. The residential review program runs until April 10th.
So there's the phone call, but can you just walk through like what that formal appeal process is as well? If someone really wants really wants to dig down and say, hey, this is not what my home is worth.
Absolutely, Corey. This process and what we've done with the preview letters, this isn't an official appeal period. This is a proposed value that we're sending out so people can digest it, take some time to think about it, look at it, compare, talk to us if they need to. If the property owner, after talking to us, is still not satisfied on our position or maybe a change that we can make based on maybe some information that we didn't have, they can file an application for revision once the 2027 assessed values are mailed out in early June. They're going to be mailed out on June 4th. And then you could file an application for revision to the Board of Revision in between June 4th and the deadline is on June 29th. And that goes into a more formal process. And in that process, the City of Winnipeg will go and we'll have conversations leading up sometimes. And maybe we could still resolve that prior to the actual hearing. If we don't, and there's no agreement to be made or people still don't like the value that we're at, we can go there. What the city does is that we will bring comparable properties. We'll talk about the property to support our value. And property owners should bring and should do some homework, like Mr. Diaz talked about. I don't know how long some people may take more time, but to review what sales have gone in their neighborhood, what similar properties, if their property is similar to other properties, and to facilitate a discussion for the Board of Revision to make a decision.
We kind of heard the frustration there in Jeremy's voice. What's your reaction to those who say that this appeal process of getting things changed is difficult and time consuming? It may even be a deterrent to some people who might really feel that this is not the right price, but it's just don't have the time to make it happen.
Yeah, for the time, time is valuable for sure, Corey. And I'm going to tie it back to our preview program. We've extended the period of time that we open up to talk to people to April 10th. Our hours, we start at 8 a.m. We also work into the evenings during this time to allow people so they don't have to take time off work to have that conversation with us. In filing an application to the Board of Revision, there is legislation that needs to be followed, and they schedule things. The Board of Revision for the 2027 General Assessment, Corey, will start hearing applications for revision. I believe the first sitting is it's about middle of July. And we hear all the Board of Revision applications by the middle of February. So it does take time to get all that done. And we try to get that done all before we have to produce the 2027 property tax bills.
Okay. And just wondering, have you heard more complaints from people this year than in past years?
You know what? Our preview program right now is booked till the end of February. That's not uncommon. We do hear a lot. I've heard maybe a little bit more media play this year than I have in other years, and that's okay. And people, these are people's homes, and they open up an envelope and they see a number, and part of it is about education and trying to educate folks about how that means and what that works at. And this is, it opens up conversation, which is a very good thing, right? And we're here to talk to property owners and try to explain how we derive their assessment at their property level, and try to explain and review kind of comparables and what their home has compared to others. A lot of people will look at a home, Corey, and say, I live in the exact same home as them. Why is mine assessed higher? Well, the home may be across the street, maybe has, they don't have a finished basement, they don't have a bathroom in the basement, those sorts of things, right? That people may not be aware of just by looking at the exterior of the building.
Still, residents like Jeremy say the process isn't working. Now, others agree, including David Camfield, who reached out to CBC with his idea. He says it's time the City of Winnipeg takes the whole approach back to the drawing board.
The whole way of funding municipal services through property tax assessment is archaic and really should be replaced. I mean, there's no direct connection between people's income and therefore their ability to pay and the way that these get assessed. A simple replacement with an income tax, just modifying the way that federal and provincial income tax is created in order to be able to account for municipal public services will be a much more rational way of raising the revenue that's needed for municipal public services. Municipal public services are really underfunded in Winnipeg and many other places. And so it would be administratively, once you made the switch, much easier. You wouldn't have to go through this whole rigmarole of these assessments of property values.
Well, that is it for today. We're going to have to see if David's idea gets any traction. I'm Marcy Marcusa. We will be back again next week with another episode of This is Manitoba.